Hey guys! Thanks guys for joining. Good to see you. Last week we had a bit of a break. So it was Carnival where I live. So I'm in Brazil, if you guys don't know. I'm currently here in Brazil. And last week it was Carnival, so we didn't have a lesson. So it's good to see you guys back here today. All right, awesome. Let's get started with today's lesson. We're going to be looking at simple past versus present perfect. Okay? Simple past versus present perfect. This is one of the most common mistakes that people make. A lot of times people get confused, even advanced level English learners. They get confused sometimes with when to use the simple past and when to use the present perfect. So I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and check it out today and finally learn the difference between the two. All right, so let us get started. We're going to start the lesson, and I also want to let you guys know that you can definitely put your example sentences in the live chat. So make sure, if I tell you guys, provide some examples here, make sure you go ahead and do that. It is the best way for you guys to get the most out of this lesson. And it's an opportunity for me to check your examples and make sure that you're using them correctly. All right, so let's go over the basics. So first things first, formula. We've got the present perfect tense. Sometimes people forget the formulas, so I thought it would be a good idea to put them on here for the present perfect tense. We've got the subject, I, my dog, the teacher, whatever the subject might be, plus the verb have in the present, the simple present tense form. So have or has, depending on the subject, it changes. And the past participle. The past participle, guys, if you don't know your past participles properly, please go ahead and Google your past participles, have a look at the list. So for the regular verbs, it's ed or d, just like you would for any regular verb. So the past participle is similar to the simple past in that sense. But when it comes to the irregular past participles, some of them end with en, some of them end with n, some of them end with d, so they're different. We need to memorize them because we use the past participle a lot in English. And we're going to be looking at the simple past tense formula. So for the regular verbs, pretty straightforward, just subject with verb plus ed or d. To the end of the base verb, we already know this. And also, if it's an irregular, again, memorize your irregular verbs if you don't know them. Super important in English. So subject plus irregular form of the verb. All right. And if you've got any questions, also feel free to send me in the live chat. Okay, first one, to talk about a past experience or action. So something to remember about the present perfect tense, it is always connected to an experience, okay? If you're talking about an experience, you're going to use the present perfect tense in the past. If you're talking about an action in the past, you're going to use the simple past tense. Let's elaborate a little bit on this. All right, so the present perfect tense says that the subject possesses, so it owns, or has a past experience, okay? Anything in the past related to an experience, you're talking about something that you went through, something you experienced, something you tried. We're going to use the present perfect. So some examples for this. I have tried sushi. This is an experience. I have done scuba diving. Another experience. She has gone skydiving, different experiences. They have visited Japan, another experience, right? So it's something in the past, but it's an experience that we've had. The example we've given here, I have studied the trends in the market. So this is an experience. I've experienced this. I've done this before. I've tried this. The simple past tense simply says that the subject did an action in the past. So it doesn't emphasize it's an experience, it doesn't talk about it in that sense, it just simply states that an action was done in the past and that is it. Okay, so the example here, I studied the trends in the market. Now, most people will look at this and think they mean the same thing, but there is a slight difference. With this one here, we're referring to it as an experience that we've had. Oh yes, I have done that before. Oh yes, I have studied the trends before. It's something that I've already done. It's something that I've experienced. I know. Whereas here, it's just a statement that we're saying that happened in the past. I studied the trends in the market yesterday, for example. Okay. Now, if you guys would like to add some example sentences, feel free to do so, okay? So if you want to give me an example sentence for the first one, feel free to do so. And if you're listening to this after the live lesson, if you're just watching this as a video that's been recorded, please go ahead and put in the comments as well. Go ahead and put in the comments some example sentences. I'll be happy to check them for you later. Really good practice, like I told you. Okay. Next one, to talk about the start and end of an action. The start and end of an action. The present perfect tense expresses that an action started in an unspecified or unknown time in the past and has not yet been completed. Okay? Where it is also used with adverbs such as just, already, recently, and yet. We use these adverbs quite a bit with the present perfect tense, and now that I've mentioned this to you, you'll probably start to notice it a bit more. Okay? Now, the simple past tense expresses that an action began in the past and ended in the past. Okay? So, let's have a look at that again. The present perfect tense expresses an action that started at an unspecified time. There's no specific time it started and it hasn't been completed. Okay, so if we're talking about an action that hasn't been completed, we're going to use the present perfect tense. If we're talking about an action that started in the past and ended in the past, we're going to use the simple past tense. Let's look at some example sentences. My English has improved since I moved to Australia. Sorry. So my English is still getting better every day. I'm still improving with every day, right? So I started improving in the past because I started learning the language and doing lessons. And I'm still learning the language and I'm still improving. It's something that is still currently in progress. If we want to use the simple past tense to give an example sentence, you would say, my English improved when I moved to Australia. Now, what does that mean? My English improved when I moved to Australia. It means that my English is not improving anymore. It improved when I got here. Now, it no longer improves because I don't need to improve my English anymore. I'm fluent. Or maybe it's because I stopped learning, so I stopped improving. Okay, just means that this thing no longer exists. It's something that existed in the past. Next one, to talk about the connection of a finished action to the present. So the present perfect tense can also be used to express that an action is finished but still affects the present. So if we go back one slide, we said here in our previous slide that the present perfect tense expresses an action that started in the past and has not yet been completed. However, there is an exception. So we can also use it for an action that finished, but only if it still affects the present. Okay? The simple past tense expresses that the past action is not connected to the present. Okay? So if it's still connected to the present, we can use the present perfect. This is sometimes where some of the confusion can happen. But if it doesn't affect the present, if it's not connected to the present, then we're just going to use the simple past. Some examples. We have hired only 8 new sales agents. So this action has already been done. The hiring has been done, okay? Completed in the past. but it's connected to the present because we need to hire 2 more. So they still need to hire 2 more. That's why we're using the present perfect, because the 8 sales agents they hired in the past are connected to the current situation, which is they still need 2 more. All right? Let me know if that's making sense for you guys. If you've got any questions, feel free to comment them. Okay. So, the simple past tense sentence, we hired 8 new sales agents last week, simply implies that we did this action last week and that is it. It's an action that we did, a task that's been completed, no longer related to our present situation. Okay? Something that we did in the past. To talk about an action or event that didn't happen. In its negative form, the present perfect tense talks about an action or event that you expected to happen, but it didn't happen. In its negative form, the simple past tense talks about an action that didn't happen. Okay? So it's just simply something that did not happen. It did not take place. Okay? But with the present perfect, it's an action that you thought would happen. You were expecting it, but something must have happened and it didn't actually pan out the way you thought it would. Okay? With the present perfect, there's an expectation. With the simple past, it's just simply a statement, something that did not happen. Some examples, let's have a look at them. I thought my English would improve when I moved to Australia, but it hasn't. Okay? So I thought, I was expecting it. It was an expectation that I had, but it didn't happen. So I thought my English would improve when I moved to Australia, but it didn't. Okay. The next one, the simple past tense in the negative form. My English did not improve when I moved to Australia. So this just tells us that this is what happened. This is the fact. The fact is it did not improve. But it's not telling us we were expecting it to improve and it hasn't improved. It's just saying that it did not improve. Okay? The first one gives us an impression, or it gives us an idea that we were hopeful for something, or we were planning or expecting something, but it didn't happen. Now we're going to, someone new has joined us. Thanks for joining. Who's joined us? Let us know. All right. Got someone new here. Thanks for joining, guys. Okay. Awesome. Angel, thank you for joining us. I just saw these comments that you've put up here. I saw a UFO last Saturday. Okay, let me correct some of these for you. I have made my homework yesterday. Okay, I'm going to tell you what is wrong with this specific sentence. I have made my homework. First of all, with homework, we use the verb to do. I have done my homework. Okay, first thing to correct, I have done my homework. And with the present perfect, we don't specify a time. It's an unspecified time. Okay, so you would just say, I have done my homework. Okay, if you wanted to specify the time, you're going to say, I did my homework yesterday. All right, so just pay attention to that. Otherwise, really good job. Next one. I saw, okay, UFO. So great example, UFO. The y sound is not a vowel sound, okay? It's a consonant sound because it's got a y sound. So we're not going to say N, we're going to say a. I saw a UFO last Saturday. Great example. They have done their homework. Okay, again, so well done for using done here. They have done their homework, but we're not going to specify the time. Okay, because with the present perfect, like I mentioned, it's unknown, it's unspecified time. Present perfect tense expresses something that is in the process, that is still in the process. That's what you're going to say. The present perfect tense expresses something that is still in the process. Okay? Great work. Give me some other examples, guys. Feel free to give me some other examples. I'm going to give you the summary. So with the summary, I'm going to refresh your memory, and then there's an exercise after this, so stay tuned for the exercise. But let's do a bit of a summary about when to use each one. So the present perfect tense talks about a past experience, okay? It's an experience that you own or you possess from the past. It also expresses an action that started in an unspecified or unknown time in the past and hasn't been completed yet, okay? But it can also, this is where it gets confusing, like I mentioned, it can also express an action that is finished, but it still affects the present. If it's still referring to the present, you can still use the present perfect tense. In its negative form, for example, I haven't plus past participle, it talks about an action or event that you expected would happen, but it didn't happen. Okay? So for example, I thought, right? Using I thought, I expected, I assumed, I imagined. We could use those types of phrases with it. I imagined I would be fluent in Portuguese by now, but I haven't even gotten to an intermediate level. Okay? It also talks about the specific moment that doesn't matter. Yes, so something to keep an eye out for. So the specific moment in the present perfect tense does not matter. That's why we don't want to emphasize last Sunday, or we don't want to say yesterday when we're using the present perfect. It does not fit with specified times. This is also why we use adverbs like already, yet, still, with it. Okay, we use those adverbs with it because they don't specify. Now the simple past tense, we use it to say that a subject says that the subject did an action in the past. Okay, so simply just a subject did an action in the past, nothing else. Yeah, I walked my dog yesterday. We can specify the time here. It expresses that an action began in the past and ended in the past. It doesn't continue into the present. Okay, that's why it's called simple past tense, and that's why the present perfect tense is called present perfect tense, because it connects to the present. The simple past tense also expresses that a past action is not connected to the present, right? Similar point. In its negative form, it talks about an action that did not happen. Very straightforward, the simple past tense. The moment when is extremely important, and we often use when it happened. So we specify that time, okay? Last year, yesterday, last month, 2 weeks ago. Those sorts of phrases we would use with the simple past tense to specify the time. All right, let's get into the exercise. I want you guys to participate and add some examples in the live chat if you can. Okay, so I want you to talk about each of the following topics, if you can, or just choose a few of these. And I want you to use the simple past and the present perfect tense. So depending on which one you use, which number you choose to do, or if you choose to do all of them, you're going to either use the simple past or the present perfect. So with the first one, what you did at work last week. So here, would you use the simple past or would you use the present perfect? Write an example in the live chat so that I can see your example, and I'll check to see if you use the right tense for this one. Okay, and I want you to put number 1 next to it so that I know you're referring to the first one. Okay, and feel free to also do some of the others. Some of the other numbers you can definitely have a go at creating sentences for it. Okay, so here it's really great. You're able to apply what you learned into, and you can put it into practice. Okay, so let's see what everyone is coming up with. Let's have a look here. Okay, I'll wait for you guys. Maybe you need a few more seconds or a minute to form your sentences. Let's see. And like I mentioned, guys, if you're watching this as the recorded version and not the live version, please make sure to comment your examples, put the number next to it as well, and I will go in and check it for you guys. I love when you send me comments. It's a great way for me to interact with you and to help you guys out, okay? So don't forget to do that. If you're watching the recorded version, don't be shy. Go ahead and put in your comments and we can all help each other out. All right, who is going to give us that first example? Let's see. You could choose number 1, you could choose number 2. You can see here we've got 6 and 7. These two, you can use both the simple past and the present perfect to answer these questions. You know what? I'm going to start with the first one. So the first one would be the simple past tense. So what you did at work last week, it would be the simple past tense because last week is specifying a time, okay? And we're talking about something that we did in the past and it just ended in the past. So simple past tense here, right? So at work last week, I finished the 2 reports and submitted them to my boss, for example. Next one, something you've done that most people haven't. This is referring to an experience, and you can see here that we've got the present perfect. Something you have done that most people haven't. We're referring to an experience that we've had in the past. So you could answer this by saying, I have climbed Mount Everest, if that's something that you've done, which is a pretty big achievement, okay? So it's great to create some sentences. They don't have to be real. What's good about this is that you can practice using different verbs with these example sentences, okay? An accomplishment you are proud of. So this is something that you have already achieved, okay? So here, what would you use? The simple past or would you use the present perfect? What do you guys think? So something you have done in the past that you are proud of. So again, talking about an experience. So an accomplishment you are proud of. I have completed a master's degree. This could be a great example using the present perfect. Next one, something you've always wanted to do but you haven't done yet. Okay, so this is an expectation, something you are expecting to do. So you would use the present perfect tense here in the negative form. Okay, I haven't been to England, but I would like to visit it in the future. I haven't been to England, but I would like to visit it in the future. The next one, a hobby you had in the past. Okay, a hobby you had in the past. So a hobby is something you enjoyed doing in the past, maybe when you were younger. Okay, so I would use the simple past tense here, and this is pretty obvious. So something, an action that happened in the past, stayed in the past. So I painted when I was a child. Maybe that's a hobby that I had. I played the piano. So these are some common ones. Make sure to put your examples in the live chat as well. Feel free to participate and I can have a look at them for you. So number 6, a skill that you've learned and how you developed that skill. So here you could use both the simple past and the present perfect to answer this question. Okay, a skill that you've learned and how you develop that skill. So to start off with, a skill that you've learned, so you could use the present perfect, and then how you developed it, you could use the simple past because when you developed it, you finished developing it, that's it. But it's something that is still current right now, okay? So I have learnt how to cook and I improved, simple past tense here, so present perfect at the beginning, I have learnt how to cook and I improved my skills by watching YouTube videos on cooking. Okay, so that's a good example there, using both tenses. Number 7, an experience that taught you something and what it has taught you. Again, we're going to use the present perfect at the beginning because we're talking about an experience. So it's something that we've experienced. And it still carries through to the present because it's taught me something and it's still with me. And what it has taught you, so this lesson that it taught you, we're going to use the simple past for it. An experience that taught you something and what it has taught you. All right. I have realized, so present perfect, I have realized that the only way to improve in a language is by immersing yourself in that language. Okay? I have realized that you need to immerse yourself in a language in order to learn it properly. Okay? Using the present perfect here. All right. And number 8, how you're different now compared to 10 years ago. So you as a person now versus you 10 years ago. Okay? So now what would you use? The present perfect or the simple past here? I would use the present perfect, and I'm going to show you how. I would say this. I have worked on my communication skills in the last 10 years and I have improved this skill. Okay, so talking about something that I started in the past but it's still present. Okay, you could say I have become more knowledgeable. You could use different types of examples here, but you would use the present perfect because you're talking about something that started in the past. So something that was changing and it's still present till now. Okay? Awesome. Great, Angel. Thank you for providing us with those examples. Really great. It would be great if others could contribute a little bit more. It's really great for you guys. I know it can be a little bit intimidating, but there's no mistakes here that we... I guess what I want to say is that you shouldn't feel embarrassed by making mistakes because that's kind of part of the journey. And if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. So you need to make the mistakes in order for you to realize what you're doing wrong so that you can correct it for the next time. Okay, so don't feel intimidated. Always feel free to participate, add in your examples. And go ahead and watch this video again in a few days just to refresh your memory. I always say this to you guys. You don't learn something and it doesn't immediately stick from the first time that you consume the content. You need to have a look over it and revise it in order to kind of have it seep into your mind and into your memory and for you to really make sense of it. Especially a complex grammar point like this one. So this is something, like I said, even advanced English learners can sometimes make mistakes with this, and till this day some of my students still make some mistakes with it, and I need to remind them of why you would need to use this tense versus that tense. All right. I didn't know I could write a UFO. Yes, Angel, you can write a UFO because although U is a vowel, the sound is not a vowel sound. It's not a, it's y, U. So that's why you would use a instead of an. Okay? Awesome. Thank you for joining me, guys. It was a pleasure. I will see you next Tuesday, same time. And go ahead and give me some suggestions. If there is something that you would like me to cover, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, or feel free to contact me on my website or on my social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook, or even here on YouTube. And I will make sure to prepare a lesson around your suggestion in the future. Okay? Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a good one. All right. Bye.